Going on, guys? Going to edition of the Connor and Mark Show alongside Mark Rogers. I'm Connor Gabe. Very special guest today. He's the host of the morning show on 97.5 Fanatic. You can follow him on Twitter as well at John Kincade. John, thank you so much for joining the show today.
What's going on today?
A lot of stuff to talk about in Philadelphia sports, but I think we'll go right into obviously the big one, the Eagles.
No, I think the most important thing we get to is why is your room purple?
I told my girlfriend.
Can we get to that? Can we get to that part of the discussion?
I'm constantly on the mood, so on the move. So I'm always I'll be in my girlfriend's room. Sometimes it'll be purple, sometimes it'll be pink.
It's your girlfriend's room. Yeah. Very nice day. Yeah, I got you.
Mine's a bright yellow, so it's not
nice decor there. That's very, very good. Just want to set the tone, set the mood for the entire interview.
Well, I always have a tapestry hanging up in my room. So.
Oh, exactly. Who doesn't, right?
I know.
You're looking at the bare walls of my Ardmore apartment. Well, I think I have a shelf behind me, but I'm in a one-bedroom apartment while we build our house here in Philadelphia. So lots of fun getting settled in. Being my wife and daughter are back in Atlanta until my daughter gets done high school. So I'm here in an apartment all by myself, and this thing, they tell me it looks like the apartment from American Psycho. If you've never seen that movie. I have a mirror on one wall. I got a couple others, and I got a couple Eagles footballs on the wall. And other than that, it is just bare walls. I'm a minimalist.
Well, that's all you need. The Eagles footballs will make you tidy up together.
Yes, I had both Super Bowls, Super Bowl 39 and Super Bowl 52, obviously. And I've got a Super Bowl from each. And then there is my only piece of autographed memorabilia, a Cole Hamels 2008 World Series MVP baseball signed by Cole.
That's a pretty good one.
The only piece of memorabilia that I own that is signed. So how about that?
The only one I have is a Herm Edwards signed Eagles helmet, which is actually pretty nice. I like that.
Love Herm.
Yes.
Love Coach Herm.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very much. You probably have something from like Martha Stewart or something too with that room helmet.
I got her cookbook and everything. Huh?
Exactly. I figured as much. So what do you guys got going on?
We're doing mock drafts because draft is the favorite time of the year for me. We're doing March Madness, and I'm 1 for 3 on bets, so I'm obviously on a cold streak here. But just March Madness football, and getting ready for spring training, or getting ready for the Phillies is going to be.
What are we? 6 weeks till the draft tonight?
It's going to be.
Or is it 5 weeks?
It's almost 4.
6. No, I think it's the 29th. So we're probably 5. We're 5 weeks till the draft. I can't wait. I cannot wait. So excited.
Well, it's exciting because the Eagles have been quiet in free agency, but they are going to be in the draft number 6. It's going to be intense because obviously they're going to be whether or not Pitts is going to be there, Chase is going to be there. So talk about the whole offseason, with the Wentz trade and obviously being quiet in free agency. What do you make of the current state of the Eagles and where they go from here?
Okay, I would sort of tell people the Eagles offseason is very much similar to when it's 2 days till payday and you're a young man and you went out drinking last weekend and you got pizza late and everything. And now you're trying to scrimp by on peanut butter and soup, or you're raiding your parents' kitchen back at their house. The Eagles don't have any money to spend. Now, somehow they found $3.5 million to pay Joe Flacco, and I have no idea how or why. I understand why they wanted him, but not at $3.5 million. But I'm glad to see it be quiet, because I want the Eagles to honestly take it in the shorts in 2021, because they've got to clean up the salary cap, and there are decisions that have to be made on this roster. And I want the tough decisions to be made. I want this team to have a cleansing in 2021. I'm okay. I already signed in blood for 3-13. I am totally fine if they are the worst team in the division, if they take it and get kicked around a bit. As long as the right decisions are made in this year's draft, they get out of the salary cap hell, and then they can dig themselves out of this and start anew. I'm totally fine with it. Plus, I want a 10 or 11 games guaranteed where I get a really good look at Jalen Hurts and we know what he's about. And 10 or 11 starts should be more than enough to decide, yes, this guy's got it or he doesn't. And I'm really hoping that he manages to be a nice surprise.
Yeah, and with that cleansing that you're talking about, obviously the draft being, we were just discussing about 5 weeks out. That first pick is maybe the biggest thing in this cleansing. What prospect catches your eye the most for this Eagles team and for the fit of this?
There is no questions asked that the guy that I want the Eagles to draft, and it is totally against my philosophy, because I am a build in the line of scrimmages guy. But I absolutely want Jamar Chase. I just spent 25 years in the South, where if you are not immersed fully in SEC football, you don't survive in sports talk radio. And so I watched a lot of college football, a lot of SEC football over the last 25 years. When I tell you that Jamar Chase is a beast, he is a freak of nature. He is somebody that could end up being a huge, huge impact guy. I'm all in. But Kyle Pitts also intrigues me. And one of the things I hear up here, and it's always a good way to tell, how do I know somebody has never watched college football, is when they say to me, well, why would the Eagles draft Kyle Pitts? They don't need another tight end. They've got Dallas Goedert. I shake my head and I say, okay, I know you've never watched football. You've never watched SEC football, because Kyle Pitts is another one. Versatile, super athletic, speed, great hands, catches in traffic. I'm not sure Pitts or Chase is necessarily going to be better, but I think that Chase has the potential to be Julio Jones-ish, Megatron-ish, and I do believe Kyle Pitts will be every single thing that Travis Kelce has been in Kansas City. So pick what you want. I will be happy with either choice. If either one of those gentlemen are called upon on draft night, I'm fine. But what I'm sort of hoping is there's a little bit of a rush on quarterbacks, and maybe you get the pick call from the Detroit Lions that they're afraid they got to use your pick to go up and get a quarterback. And then you manage to say, because maybe they don't believe that they're going to be able to succeed in their current quarterback situation. They want to go get a young one. I'm hoping somebody calls that maybe you could move back just a little where you could get Pitts or Chase, and I'd be totally fine with it. And it's totally against my philosophy, because I'm about building on the lines of scrimmage. But for this year, I'm totally fine with it.
Well, Chase put up big numbers in LSU, and that was next to Justin Jefferson to put up big numbers last year. So it's
here's the thing, though, is Chase put up huge numbers, and Justin Jefferson was an absolute side piece. Chase was the center of attention. Chase was the focus of everybody's defense in the SEC. Chase was the guy that every defensive coordinator said, we have to shut down, not Justin Jefferson. So it's amazing that everybody loves Justin Jefferson. Well, if you love what you saw out of Justin Jefferson, he was a pure side piece to Jamar Chase. Chase is the physical monster. He is going to change the game. I really believe that.
Yeah, and I always ask about Nick Sirianni as well, because there's so many unknowns with the coaching staff. They're all young. They're really in their 30s and their 40s. Jonathan Gannon obviously got his guy with Anthony Harris from Minnesota, but we don't really know how his defense is going to run. They imagine maybe it'll be like a Mike Zimmer because he worked under him. But what do you expect from this coaching staff, and what do you want to see out of these young guys and how they control the locker room next year in 2021?
I got to know Coach Zimmer 1 year in Atlanta. He worked with Bobby Petrino, who coached for like 10 or 11 games and then quit in the middle of the night like a coward. But what I know about Coach Zimmer is Coach Zimmer would look at his locker room and try to adjust to his talent. He wasn't trying to necessarily say, I'm going to absolutely make everybody fit exactly what I want to do. I'm going to adjust here, how we attack and how we do things. So I'm anxious to see what Gannon brings to the table as a defensive coordinator. In fact, I was excited about his hire because 3 other teams had requested interviews with him. He was going to be a defensive coordinator, whether it was here in Philadelphia or somewhere else. So I'm very impressed with that hire. I like that. So many teams were interested in him. But look, I don't know what they're going to run, but here's what scares me. I hear a lot of people clamoring saying they want a more aggressive defense. They want to blitz more. They want to get back to that, physical, get after the quarterback, blitz, blitz, blitz. I'm like, that's great if your secondary can hold up. I don't see this secondary. I think their secondary is one of the weakest in the NFL, talent-wise, depth chart-wise. So if that's the case, why do I want to blitz? That makes no sense. Why do I want to leave inferior, defensive backfield on islands? I don't want that. So I'm anxious to see how they decide to approach it, and I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. As far as Nick Sirianni, people are judging too much on press conferences. But what I will say is this: you cannot feel extremely confident about what you've seen from the guy the 2 times that he's spoken publicly. He's souped up. He is constantly amped up. He doesn't seem like he's, he seems like somebody who just wants to, like, he's so impressed, like he's a puppy. I want a more calm and in control guy. I believe he's going to be an excellent motivator of people. I think he's going to make people have a positive workplace, which goes a long way in the NFL. Guys like enjoying coming to work, but I'm worried about this coaching staff. I think 4 of them, haven't even had a legal drink yet. So I'm a little concerned that this coaching staff is way too young. In fact, we're going to talk about it tomorrow morning on the John Kincade show. So that's good work on your guys' part to, constantly be finding things that are the interesting topics to talk about.
Yeah, and another interesting topic, obviously, a lot of injuries to this team last year. What players are you really looking to come back and make an impact on this team next year?
Okay, this is going to sound like a really mean answer. It's going to sound mean. Players that I want to see come back and be healthy. I want to see Lane Johnson come back and be healthy. And I want to see Brandon Brooks. I want to see him be healthy. Anybody else? I really don't care. I really don't. I don't really value a lot of this roster. I think the roster stinks. We argue about it all the time on the morning show. I'm not thrilled with this roster. I would be fine if 3 years from now we were talking about 7 guys being left over. I'd be fine with it. I want to see a house cleaning here. An absolute house cleaning. And I think this team needs it in a big way.
I want to move into the Flyers because we all have a hockey background. So I feel like we're very well-versed on this topic of watching this team. I can't watch this team sometimes because it pisses me off so much how talented they are and they just can't win. And you made a good point on your show. This is the best, worst team you've ever seen before. And
yes,
history. It's like they have a lot of talent, and they got guys like Myers and Sanheim defensively who are really talented but aren't playing well. And obviously you have like veterans like Claude Giroux and Voracek who've been here for so long, who've put up great numbers, just can't win. Like, I don't know what to make of this team. I don't know where they are. And I don't even know if they should be making a move at the deadline at this point because they're not looking like they're heading in the right direction with the playoffs that are coming up. So what do you make of this team, and where do you think they go from here for the remainder of this season?
Well, I can tell you I'm certainly not making any moves at the deadline to try to make the playoffs this year, to push for the playoffs or to try to – this team isn't being fixed by making one acquisition. If this team goes and gets a top 3 defenseman or a top 2 pairing defenseman, and it doesn't change this team. I've heard that little bit of mythology. This Flyers team has bad DNA. There's something to it. There's something to the makeup of this roster. Fletcher talked about it in his press conference. The idea of he doesn't think the makeup of the roster is very good right now. I would say, well, duh. Yeah, the roster's not good. I don't understand. I've never seen a team that can't break out of its own zone at the NHL level. This team is so poor. Just getting their offense jump-started, it's no understanding why they don't score, because they can't get the offense going from behind their own goal line or back in their own defensive zone. And for whatever reason, they've gone with this like sort of home run passing, where they're trying to, pass the puck quickly out and break the forwards way out. And then the forwards aren't back to forecheck. It's terrible. And I blame Alain Vigneault a bit on this, who I think is a very good coach. For his career, he's been a very good coach. You don't win 700 games by accident. But I don't know what he's thinking here. He's trying to do square peg, round hole. And that's obvious to me. And I don't understand that at all. Plus, Carter Hart has been nothing less than awful. And that's not saying that he can't turn his career around. That's not saying that he's having a bad year. But I really wonder about the mental makeup. I wonder if he's been sort of psychologically damaged and whether he's just doubting himself and maybe just needs to get away, because this team's terrible right now. It's terrible.
And with, obviously right now, like you said, probably not going to make any moves at the deadline, really shouldn't with the team they have. Do you possibly see any of these older guys, such as Giroux or Voracek, on the move at the deadline?
I don't really know who wants them. I don't think you're going to get guys that want to take on those contracts. And for aging players, that's sort of not the game in the NHL anymore, to take on that. So I think you're sort of stuck with what you got. And that's fine with me. It just, this is so disappointing though. I was so excited to come back. and to have a hockey team on a daily basis to be able to watch. This is painful. This is absolutely painful. It's like somebody sticking, bamboo stalks under my fingernails watching this team. It's terrible. I've watched, I find any excuse to just put the game on Alexa, listen on the Fanatic, and do something else, do show prep or do something else, because it's painful to watch. It frustrates me.
Yeah, moving to the 76ers, they won last night without Curry, and they've been on a stretch. They're number one in the Eastern Conference as well. And I like that you keep reminding everybody on your show, you got Daryl Morey's got, as we currently stand right now when we're recording this,
he has 21 hours.
21 hours for the tape.
And 21 hours and 29 minutes.
20 to be exact on the tee.
And I am getting very anxious. But I also, look, are we in agreement that the Sixers went out and got the best front office executive who was available?
Yes.
Okay. They went out and got arguably the best coach that was available.
Yes.
In Doc. Okay. So what I'm not going to do, I'm going to do the exact opposite that every talk show host has ever done in the city of Philadelphia. I'm going to say, okay, these guys are winners. I'm going to trust what they do. I don't make judgments on 1 year, even 2 years. And when guys have resumes like Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers, I give them time. I really do. I give them time. I don't feel this rush that a lot of Sixers fans seem to feel about got to make a move, got to make a move, got to make a move. I think this team has a window. Look, you have guaranteed 3 more years of Ben Simmons, 3 more years where you're guaranteed to have him around. This team has plenty of runs left in them at a championship. And I'm wondering whether Daryl Morey's looking at his roster and saying, you know what, everybody's calling and everybody wants Matisse Thybulle. And I don't want to give up Thybulle. So why don't I just go the veteran buyout route, pick up somebody like that, maybe pick up another expiring contract like an Oladipo or Alonzo Ball, something that I can get with maybe a first-round pick or a player, and just roll the dice and go with that. I think that's the strategy they need to go with. To me, that makes the most sense. Anything that involves Thybulle, I'm out. Anything, I am absolutely out. Do not want it.
Yeah, and with that, do you see, I mean, obviously this team has been playing really well without Joel Embiid, and when he comes back, it's only going to, ramp up their production. But do you see them being the clear front runner in the East right now, or do you see the Nets being a threat, potentially the Bulls or any other teams?
So I think everybody's a threat. When you don't have playoff pedigree, and the Sixers do not have playoff pedigree, they do not have that long-standing, they've had some successful runs. So I think everybody's a threat. I'd be more worried about facing Miami than I would be Milwaukee in a playoff series. So I'd like to avoid Miami in the bracket if there's a way that. So if you're 1 and Miami's sitting in the 4, I almost would rather be the 2 seed and avoid Miami. I think Miami's more dangerous than Milwaukee. I think the Nets are extremely dangerous, but I believe with if you go with Thybulle and you talk about a Ben Simmons and you talk about a healthy Joel Embiid, you got 3 really, really good defenders there. In fact, the Sixers have been the best offensive team in the NBA since Joel Embiid got injured. And they're one of the best defensive clubs already. We already know that. And Joel Embiid's not even playing right now. I like their chances. I really do like their chances to think that this team's going to be playing the Western Conference champs for an NBA title. And I do not believe we need to see something by 3:00 tomorrow, some sort of big, bold move to give them a really better shot, because I think they match up pretty well. The Nets are deficient defensively. And in a 7-game series, I think that's going to hurt them in a big way.
Moving to the final topics, the Phillies, and they are set to play their first game on April 1st against the Braves. What do you make of the team right now? It's talented. The bullpen looks a lot better than they did last year, but they also are in a very tough division with guys like the Nationals and the Mets, who bought a lot of guys this offseason, and the Braves, obviously. Where do you think they stand in that division, and what do they have to do to accomplish to end their playoff drought that's been going on 11 years, I believe?
I don't think they've had what have they not had a winning season in 8?
They haven't won. I think 2011 is the last time they had a win.
So it's all, we're going on 10 years.
Yeah.
What I would tell you is that I am a believer. I put down my cold hard cash that the Phillies would win more than 81.5. So all I told you is I think they're going to be a little better than mediocre. That's what I'm confident in. What I am a believer in, though, is that last year was the most statistically crazy year that probably a franchise could ever have. The Phillies had the second most leads in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers are the only team in baseball who held more leads in games than the Phillies. And the Phillies managed to miss the playoffs. So partly because the starting rotation didn't hold up their end of the bargain. They were throwing it to the bullpen way too early. The bullpen was deficient. So then the bullpen got worn down and beaten up. And then they got beaten up literally by the opponents. So I'm confident that they've got to be better just by the fact that a more normal spring training, a more normal routine. Joe Girardi, I don't judge on last year. So I'm anxious to see how they come this year. I would suggest that if we still don't know what the baseball playoff format's going to be yet, whether it's going to be 8 teams or 5. If it's 5 teams, I think the Phillies are on the outside looking in very close. If it's 8 teams, I think the Phillies will definitely be one of those 8 teams. So that's about where I sit. I want Aaron Nola to show me more too, because Aaron Nola is supposed to be an ace. He looks like a really good number 2 to me. I actually think Zach Wheeler was their better pitcher last year.
Yeah.
And if Zach Wheeler is their ace and Nola's a 2, and then, you know, what a guy like Eflin takes the step forward, who my guys in the morning, Bob and Jamie and Pat, they all are sold on Zach Eflin. They are, you know, I didn't like him that much in High School Musical. So I really haven't enjoyed his performances with the Phillies. But they are so sold that this is going to be a breakout season for Zach Eflin. I'm very skeptical. So I'm either going to be wildly incorrect, and I'll own it if I am, or I'm going to be proven to be correct that he's a 4 or a 5 in most teams' rotations.
Yeah, and just the final question here on the Phillies. How confident are you now with Dave Dombrowski coming in this year, you know, at the deadline, if the Phillies are in a good position, that they can make some moves to contend with this really competitive NL East?
I'm very confident that Dave Dombrowski can identify talent and could maybe go after guys that he wants. What I wonder is, does he have the resources to go get guys? Because at a trade deadline, what are you usually dealing? You're usually dealing prospects. And right now, the Phillies farm system looks like a picked over Kmart in Kensington. I mean, it's not like it's not seriously like we're not talking about, you're not shopping at at Nordstrom. You're not at Macy's. There's not these great prospects right now. You're wearing, last year's hand-me-downs and stuff from like the 70s and the 80s that your dads wore to Bonner. I mean, it's like, that's the kind of stuff that they've got on the shelves. So the Phillies are going to have to make some chicken salad out of chicken, if you know what I mean. And, but a guy like Dombrowski can do it. He can do it. He's that kind of guy.
Before I let you go, March Madness, I know you're a Temple guy. And Villanova,
yes, I am.
They found their way into Sweet 16. Is there any chance they find a way to the Final Four, or are they just too depleted at this point to beat a Baylor and find themselves in the Final Four?
I think Baylor's too good.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest with you, is that and I've talked about it on the air, and it's funny because people are giving me grief all over the place for it. But I'm always going to be honest with the audience. I'm never going to root for Villanova. I'm just never going to root for Villanova. So I can't as a Temple guy. But I can also tell you honestly that I'm extremely envious that Jay Wright is such a great coach and such a spectacular recruiter and such a tremendous developer of talent. I'm incredibly envious of what the Wildcats got cooking. I don't believe they can beat Baylor. And I don't want to doubt them, but Baylor watching Baylor play is a pleasure to me. Watching Gonzaga play is a pleasure to me. And I'm really hoping that we get to see that, at some point in this tourney. We get to see the two of them go at it. But to watch what Villanova does, to watch what Jay Wright does on a consistent basis, damn right I'm envious. But I'll never root for them. I'll never, not in a million years. And I hate this where I see people going, well, you're a Philly guy. You got to root for Villanova. No, I don't. I'm a Delco guy from Broomall. I do not have to root for Villanova. There is nothing in my contract, and I've read it, that says I have to root for Villanova. and I won't. Now, I don't tend to actively root against them, but I can't say that I'm upset when they get knocked out, but only because of the fact that I'm an envious little weasel, wishing that was what my school was doing right now. But I'm going to give Temple more time, though. I'm going to give Temple more time to get this thing figured out. So what do you guys got cooking here? I mean, is this as partners? What do you got cooking here? Tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, we got a live show on WCHE. I produce for Bill Werndell, Sports Chatter, Chester County from 2 to 3.
Do you know that I love Billy from Philly? Do you know that we're old friends?
Yes.
He is a spectacular guy. Bill Werndell he needs to buy a vowel, but in his last name. But Billy from Philly is a treasure, an absolute treasure. And I can't wait to see him in a press box once this stupid COVID lifts. Yes. I can't wait to see Bill because he knew me when I was an intern in college at Temple. I met Billy. And over the years, I would guest on his show in San Diego. Yeah. I would pass by, I'd see him in a press box. And it is so awesome to get to come home now. I feel proud because he's one of those people that I can't wait to see and go, hey, Bill, remember when I was a college kid that wanted to do this for a living? Well, now I'm doing it back in my hometown. And he is one of the best guys you're ever going to meet in the business. Love him.
It's an honor to do a show every day. I learned so much from him. And really, it's lucky because it's right. I went to Westchester. It's right there. So it's a small walk from my apartment.
Steal his phone. His phone because Bill Werndell knows everybody.
Yes.
So do me a favor. If any time Bill just says to you, I think this might be the day. I think God might be calling me. Steal the phone. Just have it. And we'll download it because Bill knows everybody in sports. There isn't anybody that you don't know how many people I've met over the years when people would come through Atlanta or whatever, and they'd say, or on my national show or whatever, and they go, well, you're from Philly. And and they go, you worked up there, you interned up there and everything. I say, yeah. And they go, well, you know Bill Werndell, don't you? I'm like, sure, everybody does. In fact, if Bill ran for mayor, they could stop fixing elections. They could just let him run for mayor. They would just leave him in place. They would leave him in place. We'd get everything straightened out.
I know he'd be on my ticket. I'll put him on there.
He would. So the post-election night party would be a hell of a party too.
Oh, it'd be a blast.
It would really be great. But this is good though. So you guys do this. How often do you do this?
Once a week.
Yes.
So you guys do this once a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we have a YouTube channel where we post instant reactions to Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, those types of games, and then we do the radio show like Connor was saying, and then we try to do interviews like this as well. So
okay, let me tell you this for you guys, and this is specifically for YouTube, but I say it to everybody when I talk to college kids and I talk to young people who someday want to steal my job. And
you don't want to steal your job.
By the way, no. Guess what? That's the wrong answer.
That's the wrong answer. We do want to steal your job.
You do want to steal my job. Now you're going to wait your damn turn. But I want every single college guy that I talk to want my job someday. I want that because I wanted Howard Eskin's job. Mm-hmm. I wanted, growing up, I wanted Mike Missinelli's job. All those kind of things. So I want you to want that. But I can tell you this, you're doing the right things because I talk to college kids all the time and I'll be talking to juniors in college, seniors in college, and I'll make everybody, and I'll say, okay, everybody stand up in the room. And I'll say, sit down if you don't have a YouTube channel. And some people will sit down. I'll say, sit down if you don't do a podcast. Other people will sit down. I'll say, sit down if you're not doing social media content. Others will sit down. I'll say, okay. Let me get a good look. And I take a picture, usually with my phone, and I say, okay, I just want to know who to look out for because you are the kind of guys that will steal my job someday. When I'm ready to, more likely when I'm ready to retire, you apply because that's what you need to do. You need to hustle. You need to be practicing your craft every day. And what I'm finding out is because of YouTube, and if you notice our show, we're on YouTube every day, 4 hours a day. The show's on YouTube. It looks better than anything ESPN produces on television. Mm-hmm. Any radio show they've got, our show looks better. Go to the YouTube channel. And that's because I demand that. I demand that we do these things. We do Twitch. We've got a big social media presence. I try to target my thinking and everything about my radio show to you guys because your dads are going to, or in my age group, are going to listen. They're going to listen to sports radio because this town has been conditioned to listen to it. But you know who listens less to it? Younger people. But you know what you can do? You can create a product that is more conditioned to your generation or to the generation right a little above you. And you can create content that's more quick hitting. You don't spend 4 hours on a topic taking calls from people that nobody knows. And as a host, giving away your show to callers for the content. You guys are doing things to practice your craft right now, get your reps, because nobody gets in their car each day going, there's a big Eagles game on Sunday. Someday when you've got my job, remember, no guy is getting in their car after work saying, I can't wait to hear what Bill in Norristown has to say about the Eagles game. I can't wait to hear what Tony from Jenkintown thinks about the Eagles coaching staff. No, you have to be the guy. You have to bring people into the tent, then bring callers in, bring content in, bring YouTubers, bring comments off of social media onto your show, react to comments, react to people, give them that feedback. You don't have to just sit and mindlessly take callers. You don't need to throw out a poll question in your first segment. You don't have to do things the way every single damn show in this market has always done it. You're allowed to reinvent sports radio. And I'm trying to do it. And I've got a great team working with me that's helping me out. And I want guys like you to, I want to know someday when I'm retired and I'm putting on the radio in my car, that guys like you are doing my job and you're doing it differently than you're hearing it today. You're doing differently than the sports radio your dads grew up with. Because if you try to do that type of sports radio, you will fail because it's dying off. The people who want to do sports radio that way, the people who want to give you their hot take at the beginning of the show and get you all pissed off. And then you're going to call and they're going to take calls for 2 hours and they're not going to reset with new topics and they're not going to move things along fast. Those shows will die off. And it's going to be guys like you who are there to pick over the ring and get in there and do something different. So be different every single day. Find what you're good at, be different, be fast, be different. And I think you'll be big success.
Thanks, John. And listen, you can follow John on Twitter at John Kincade and also check on the morning show 6 to 10 on 975 Fanatic. John, Bob Cooney, Jamie Lynch, and Pat Egan. Yes.
Yes.
Make sure I remember everybody. And
yes.
Thanks again for coming on, talking about everything Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, and giving us some tips on our career. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do that. And stay in touch, guys. All right.
Definitely.